Hello viewers, welcome to Big Man Business YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the top import and export commodities of France. In 2020, French imports reached $569.2 billion, up 1.8% from 2016, but down by -10.8% from 2019. The euro has appreciated by 3.1% against the US dollar since 2016, according to the average exchange rate for 2020, and has increased by 2% from 2019 to 2020. When converted from the stronger euro, France's imports paid in weaker US dollars become relatively less expensive. Imports from France account for 3% of total global imports, which were predicted to be $19.085 trillion a year in 2020 as calculated on February 14, 2021. From a continental perspective, France's total imports by value in 2020 accounted for nearly two-thirds, which is 63.1% of the country's total imports. 22.6% of France's import purchases came from Asian partners, while 7.3% came from North America. Africa got 3.8%, Latin America got 1.2%, excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean with 1.2%, and Oceania with 0.2%, led by Australia and New Zealand, received smaller percentages. With a population of 65 million people, France's total imports of $569.2 billion in 2020 equates to nearly $8,800 in annual product demand for each individual in the European Union country. If you're new to the Big Man Business YouTube channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell to receive updates on new business expert videos. For more international business news and updates, please visit www.bigmanbusiness.com. France top imports. The following product groupings account for the majority of France's import purchases in 2020. The percentage share of each product category in terms of total imports into France is also given. $71.3 billion in machinery, including computers, accounts for 12.5% of total imports. $65.4 billion in vehicles accounts for 11.5%. $53.6 billion in electrical machinery and equipment accounts for 9.4%. Mineral fuels, which include oil, are worth $39.6 billion, accounting for 7%. $28.7 billion in pharmaceuticals account for 5%. $22.2 billion in plastics and plastic goods account for 3.9%. $20.1 billion in optical, technical, and medical equipment accounts for 3.5%. $14.6 billion in organic chemicals account for 2.6%. $13 billion for aircraft and spaceships account for 2.3%. $11.1 billion on clothing and accessories not knit or crocheted accounts for 1.9%. The top 10 imports accounted for roughly 3/5 of the total value of France's goods purchases from foreign nations, which is 59.7%. Only one of the top product categories saw a decrease in value, namely French pharmaceutical imports, which increased by 14.5% year-over-year. Mineral fuels, such as oil, went down by -40%, airplanes and spacecraft also went down by -37.1%. Machinery, such as computers. Machinery such as computers, were the most rapidly falling category, was down by -14.7%. France's top exports. In 2020, France, formerly the French Republic, transported $476.1 billion worth of goods around the world. The value of the dollar metric has dropped by 14.2% from 2019 to 2020, compared to a -2.9% drop since 2016. The euro has appreciated by 3.1% against the US dollar since 2016, according to the average exchange rate for 2020, and has increased by 2% from 2019 to 2020. In 2021, France's exports paid for in lower US dollars will be relatively more expensive for overseas customers due to the stronger European Union currency. In 2022, the most valuable exports from France will be pharmaceutical mixtures, airplanes including spaceships and turbojets, cars, automotive parts or accessories, and wine. In total, those significant exports will account for 21.9% of France's total export revenues. The commodities themselves indicate a rather diverse variety of exported goods. France is the world's greatest exporter of wine and is among the top nations for aviation parts, and is a major rival for pharmaceutical supplies. According to the most recent data available, importers in Germany accounts for 14.5% of the global total, the United States with 7.8%, Italy with 7.7%, Spain with 7.4%, Belgium with 7.4%, the United Kingdom with 6.5%, China with 4.2%, the Netherlands with 3.8%, Switzerland with 3.4%, Poland with 2.2%, Singapore with 1.7%, and Turkey purchased 68.2% of products exported from France. From a continental standpoint, 65.9% of France's exports were delivered to other European countries, while 16.8% were sold to Asian buyers. Another 9.2% of France's exports went to North America. Africa got 5.3%, Latin America excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean got 1.5%, and Oceania headed by Australia received smaller percentages of 1.1%. With a population of 65 million people, France's total exports of $476.1 billion in 2020 equate to nearly $7,300 for each inhabitant of the European Union member country. In terms of monetary value, the following export product groups accounted for the majority of French global shipments in 2021. The percentage share of each export category in terms of total exports from France is also indicated. $54.5 billion in machinery, including computers with 11.5% of total exports. $44.3 billion in vehicles accounts for 9.3%. $38.8 billion in electrical machinery and equipment accounts for 8.1%. $37.9 billion in pharmaceuticals account for 8%. $29.2 billion for aircraft and spacecraft accounts for 6.1%. $19.3 billion in plastics and plastic goods account for 4.1%. Cosmetics and perfumes $17.9 billion accounts for 3.8%. $17.5 billion in beverages, spirits, and vinegar stands at 3.7%. $16.1 billion in optical, technical, and medical equipment at 3.4%. $12.8 billion in other chemical goods account for 2.7%. The top 10 export categories in France accounted for 60.6% of the total value of the country's global shipments. Pharmaceuticals were the only major sector to see an increase in export sales from 2019 to 2021 up to 6.7%. With a minus 45.3% dip, aircraft and spacecraft were the greatest decliner among France's top 10 export categories. France's top trading partners. France is strategically placed on the European continent and is known as the hexagon or lexagon in French due to its nearly six-sided form. It is bordered on the east by Belgium, Luxembourg, Germany, Switzerland, and Italy, on the south by Andorra, and on the west by Spain. Across the English Channel from France, England is practically due north. In 2020, France sent $476.1 billion worth of goods around the world. The value of the dollar metric has dropped by 14.2% from 2019 to 2020, compared to a minus 2.9% drop since 2016. The total monetary amount is around 2.9% of total world exports, which were projected at $19.285 trillion a year ago in 2020, calculated as of February 14, 2021. According to a continental perspective, 64.3% of France's exports were delivered to other European countries, while 17.4% were sold to Asian buyers. Another 10% of France's exports went to North America and Africa, 5.2%. Latin America, excluding Mexico but including the Caribbean, got 1.9%, and Oceania, led by Australia, received smaller percentages of 1%. Here is a list of 15 of France's most important trading partners, the countries that imported the most French cargo in terms of dollar value in 2020. The percentage of total French exports for each importing country is also indicated. $69.1 billion in Germany, which account for 14.5% of total French exports. $37 billion in the United States, accounting for 7.8%. Italy's budget is $36.8 billion, standing at 7.7%. Spain is worth $35.2 billion, which accounts for 7.4%. Belgium is $35.2 billion, accounting for 7.4%. United Kingdom with £30.9 billion sterling accounts for 6.5%. $20.1 billion in China accounts for 4.2%. $18.2 billion in the Netherlands accounts for 3.8%. $16.4 billion in Switzerland accounts for 3.4%. $10.6 billion for Poland accounts for 2.2%. Singapore with $8 billion accounts for 1.7%. $7.2 billion from Turkey accounts for 1.5%. $6.4 billion in Japan accounts for 1.4%. $5.93 billion in Hong Kong accounts for 1.2%. $5.88 billion for Russia accounts for 1.2%. Approaching 3/4 or 72% of French exports in 2020 were delivered to the above 15 trade partners. The sole increase from 2019 to 2020 belongs to Turkey via an 8.6% increase. Japan was down by -25.5%, the United States came down by -21.4%, and the United Kingdom went down by -21.4%, were the top 3 year-over-year decliners, down by -18%. Thanks for watching this video. We are open to suggestions. Kindly drop your comments in the comment box, and don't forget to subscribe to the Big Man Business YouTube channel. See you in the next video.